last night when I was going through a thought process of like, what do we want to do for tomorrow's show? I was like, well, I got to talk Hogan. And then I was like, who can I talk to Hogan about? And then I was like, well, every time I think about Hogan, I think of Zach. Because Zach has told me that if Hogan's lips are moving, he's lying. And there he is. All right, Zach.
Can you hear me okay, by the way?
What?
Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah. You sound good. You have forgotten more about wrestling than me. So I admit that. And your position on Hogan is rooted in reality, and there's reason for it. Okay. So let's just start off with the simple first question. What is Hulk Hogan's legacy? Go.
I think that he is one of, if not the most popular individuals as a wrestler, and he helped take it to another level that it wasn't there in the 80s. He is a big linchpin of, in my opinion, of the WWF becoming what it was. It was Vince McMahon finding his prize, possession away in Hogan. Granted, his dad found him before, but Vince really kind of hooked his cart to him, and they went to the moon. And Hulkamania and everything that went with it, and all the kids growing up, and even the adults that were behind it, that to me is what caused the first real surge. There's two big ones. There's Hulkamania, and then there's Austin and Austin 316. But in the scheme of pro wrestling, he's going to be massive. He just has to be remembered as one of the greats. He's a Jordan. He's a Kobe. He's a LeBron.
All right, so
But that's just a wrestler.
Yeah. Was it timing, or was it Hulk Hogan? That's something that I think it was Hulk Hogan. I think he was that, from the way he looked to the way he carried himself, the character, right?
He was always very charismatic. Like, I can't take that away from Hulk at all. I think it was a bit of both. I think it was a bit of column A, a bit of column B, because I feel like there was sometimes, obviously, the way he was booked in matches and the way he was made to look so big and strong, it fed into the character he created then too. But and obviously take it for what is from the source, but Vince didn't want him to do Rocky 3 when he went out and did it, but he decided to go do that. And that was probably big for him. Going out and making his name out there and pushing in other avenues. I think, well, obviously that's him, and that's him making the character. I think some of it is Vince and just the wrestling side of it, of making him this big, just kind of undefeatable bruiser. But yeah, some of it is then Terry Bollea adding his own, personality into there. Or I think the quote that I always hear with wrestlers is, it's their personality turned up to 11, which what makes it the best. And so maybe that's what it is. But it was some of him then too, for sure.
Do you think those two together, because you mentioned it twice now, it seems like, talking to you, they really needed each other, like Vince and Hogan?
I think so. So the stories, and this is the part of it I love, of him going through and stealing all these guys from the territories before, because Hogan was wrestling up in, the Midwest and Minnesota and AWA and stuff like that. And that was the big guy. And once they were able to steal that talent and turn him into something, I think that's what then skyrocketed WWF as a promotion. And they started bringing more people in, and it kind of, got bigger. But Hogan is the big linchpin for then. But the thing that Vince adds that Hogan didn't have before was it was a more regional game. So when McMahon made it a more, nationwide thing, that put Hogan in front of more people. And it was more than just, all right, people here in the Midwest know me, or when I travel and I wrestle in Memphis, it's more, you get the TV screens worldwide now. So it was, I think, beneficial for both.
How did other wrestlers feel about him?
It depends on who you ask. If you're one of his friends, they loved him. They have great things to say, and they will tell you kind of just the spiel that I gave you about how he's, one of the best, did so much for the business. What I hear a lot more from his contemporaries is a lot of dislike. A lot of disdain, a lot of talk about him being a company man, a lot of talk about him essentially throwing the boys under the bus a lot of times for, that relationship with Vince. I think I've talked about it before when we talked about the Netflix documentary that Vince did, but they spent a little bit of time talking about when Jesse Ventura was trying to unionize, because wrestlers still now are just 1099 workers. But back in the 80s was trying to unionize and get the, and for them to be able to have like medical coverage and all of this stuff. And Hogan found out about it and went and just straight up told Vince, like stooged him out of like, hey, they're trying to unionize behind your back. And Ventura was eventually like let go and all of this thing for it. And he found out himself that in the steroids trial, like there's a lot of stuff when you get to Hogan, man. There's a lot, but in the steroids,
tell me about it. This is not a celebration of Hulk Hogan. No. This is truth serum. Like
I'm trying to
tell me what you know and what your opinion is.
People, I would say the majority. I would say
I celebrated Hulk Hogan in the A block. If people want to see that, okay.
I don't like talking ill about the dead, and so I'm not going to just bash him to bash him. But there are things about Hulk Hogan as a person that have just been noted for that are just slimy and just like I would say 80 to 85% of the wrestlers that know him have bad things to say about him. Like, or
really?
Just like that's how it was in the wrestling like community. It feels like even things of these stories become lore and become quotes of him. Like there's that doesn't work for me, brother, is a Hulk Hogan quote, because there'd be a lot of times of where they'd pitch a match of like, hey, so this is what we're going to do. And this and this, and he'd hear it all out and be like, no, that doesn't work for me, brother. And they'd like change it up so it would work better for him. There's a story that I love. Shawn Michaels. I don't know how familiar you are with wrestling.
I'm a sexy boy. Yeah.
Yeah. As a kid, favorite wrestler, still, I think one of the best performers.
The Heartbreak Kid.
Exactly. Well, this is the early 2000s, and they have this feud, and it's a big thing for the two of them because they never lined up before for them to kind of have this match. And the whole time they're building it up, and Shawn is under the assumption that it's going to be, they're working 3 matches, right? So they're going to split, and then Hogan will eventually get the go home, and like he wins it. But Shawn's going to get a win. Hogan's going to get a win. Like, they're going back and forth.
And then Hogan wins the big one.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So they have this whole angle. They're working it for like a couple weeks, months leading up to the first big match at SummerSlam. The day before, Shawn finds out Hogan can only work 1 match. Oh, and by the way, we're just going to have him go over on you. Like that he finds out.
Hogan was basically like, I'm not losing.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not losing, and I don't feel like working the 3 matches now. We're just doing 1 where I go over. So if you go back and watch it, and I recommend anybody to go look it up because it is comical. Shawn Michaels goes out there and oversells everything on purpose as like a giant middle finger to Hulk Hogan for doing that. There's more things like that go on.
Give me another story about Hulk that is revealing, and that's we all know the sex tape. We all know the racism stuff.
Yeah. That stuff I don't need to. Yeah,
it's egregious, right? But like, I want to hear some of the shadows with some of the other wrestlers or Vince.
Yeah. So okay, I'm trying to think of a good one like that. I do know that there's one where there's one with Bret Hart. This is WrestleMania 9, I think. Another same thing of him liking to change plans. The whole plan was he was going to go away for a bit. I don't remember if he's like shooting Tropic Thunder. Tropic Parrot. Remember that TV show he did with the boat and all that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tropic Thunder.
And was it Tropic Thunder? Okay. So, yeah. Or is that the Ben Stiller?
Oh no, that was the Ben. No, it's Tropic something else. Okay.
It's Thunder in Paradise. So, or some movie. He's leaving for a bit, and so this is the time now that they're going to transition. Vince has told Bret, we're moving on from Hogan. You're going to be our new champ. Something happens again, day of the event or the weeks leading up to it. Bret finds out they do have a match where Bret versus Yokozuna, and they switch it to where Yokozuna wins and Hulk Hogan comes back to beat Yokozuna to gain the title that night. So this whole time, it's more things of where wrestlers are often told like, nope, Hulk's going to go away for a bit. He's going to go do his own thing. It's your time now. And they would plan out these whole stories just for either that not to go right or him to come back and be like, no, you know what? And then Vince would just usually a lot of times kind of cave around to it. The thing that works with, or what works with, the thing that ended up him going to WCW and them splitting is eventually they just offered him too much money. Like I fully believe that if Vince could have paid him, Hulk never leaves, and Hulkamania goes on until it runs dry. And it's, I don't know what they do. Thankfully, he goes on to WCW, and they create the NWO, which Eric Bischoff stole from New Japan. But I mean, he did. It was an angle over New Japan that he stole and used it for this. And it revitalized his career. One thing that I feel that just kind of characterizes Hulk Hogan in this time though too is after his star fades a bit to where he's not as big as he was, but it's still Hulk Hogan. He is very notorious for finding the next big guy kind of globbing on and getting whatever little bit of heat he can have. And then when he's done, they'll trash that guy.
Like he did that to Randy Macho Man.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Dude, but there would be like stories like the new young hot guy that would come in. Oh, Hogan would work a feud with him, and then after Hogan got the win over, well, that just kind of kills the guy's momentum. But Hogan got shine from it, so that guy's a lot of stuff like that. And then the steroids, like I don't.
So.
Okay. I do have my favorite. Well, I'll wait till you go.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, and then I'll ask you one last question.
Okay, this is my favorite Hulk Hogan story because of just the absolute sheer ridiculousness of it. 1992, SummerSlam's being held at Wembley Stadium. It's a massive event for WWE. It's a big outdoor event. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm sure you know of it. You've seen pictures of it. Like, it was a big event at the time. Hulk Hogan tells a story about while he's over there for SummerSlam in 92 to wrestle, he meets with a kid for Make-A-Wish. And Hulk Hogan did do a lot of Make-A-Wish stuff, so I'm not going to he wasn't a completely awful guy. Like, he did do some good things. I'll recognize where it's there. Not to the level of John Cena, but still. So, and he tells the story if he met with the kid and his family there, and he really wanted to meet Hulk before the match. And he was supposed to be there ringside, but the kid, he loved it so much. It was the best day of his life. Hulk goes out, has his match. He notices when he looks ringside that the kid and the family aren't there anymore. Like, they were there at the start of the match. They're not there at the end. So afterwards, we're showering up and he's, getting changed. He asks his staff, he's like, hey, that kid, he and his family were there and then they were gone. Like, what happened? Like, oh, he had an incident while we were there, another episode. And unfortunately, on the way to the hospital, he died.
Oh,
and this really shook up Hulk Hogan, shook him up. So he tells the story about how back in the hotel, they're still about him and Jimmy Hart, and they're just taken aback by this, and they decide they're just overcome with emotion, and they write songs, including one that's I'm going to butcher the name of it. It's like a Hulkamaniac in Heaven or something like that. That's inspired by this event about how touched he was by this. Now that song does exist, and it's on an album, but I'm pretty sure the album came out before 1992. The other thing about that is if you look up the entire card, Hulk Hogan is not on SummerSlam 1992 at all. And it's things
so it was a complete lie, you're telling me.
Complete lie. There's one thing that wrestlers are notorious for, and given the line of work, especially older guys, where it was so big to keep kind of kayfabe alive and to keep the characters alive. So the stories of I had the garden sold out and I did this and that and they popped for that. I expect all those stories.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan was a different kind of monster of, I was supposed to be the bass player in Metallica. I was supposed to get the George Foreman grill, but missed out and got the Pasta Mania, it's all things like that.
Well, his wife called him. What did she say? I want to get the quote right. His ex-wife, Linda, just a complete liar, right?
Yes.
A complete liar.
Yeah.
So all right. Last thing on Hulk Hogan,
he told MTV Cribs when he was given a tour that after his match with Andre the Giant, which he was the first person to body slam him ever, lie. If you look it up, 25 other people had done it before him.
Bogus.
But he also said, and he passed away 3 days later. Nah, brother, he passed away 7 years after that. But sure. All right, go ahead.
So, all right. So that's it. That's all I have. I have one more question I wanted to ask you about Hogan, but it's escaped me. Because you've done such a wonderful job.
Oh, well, thank you.
No, you really have. By the way, my first question to you was going to be, why don't you have a wrestling podcast?
I don't watch a lot currently now. I just have history and stuff like that. I don't keep up.
You should do in the vault or something. I don't know. I
feel like there's better ones out there to do it better than I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I've always enjoyed the Muppet Show aspect of wrestling. That's the thing. I've never, even as a kid, the matches and stuff, they're great and they're fun, but I've always enjoyed the politics and the things backstage and how the sausage is made. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you certainly showed us some of the ugly sausage today. And look, I gotta put a bow on it. Hulk Hogan, I would not have been into wrestling as a kid like I was if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan. He's an undeniable talent. And so, rest in peace. But a flawed dude. And here, one thing I was saying, Zach, earlier in the show is man, honestly, I was lucky. And I'm not just saying this because I'm back in my mom's house, but I have pretty good parents. I understood that Hulk Hogan was not real when it was time to understand that he wasn't real. Yeah. So like, yeah, he was a screwy guy and he did terrible stuff and he was human. I mean, like, right. Like, so I think the one thing that, and this speaks to your point, excuse me with my pen, you know, he never really apologized for the racist remarks and the sex tape thing. Like, it was just like, you know, he won the lawsuit against Gawker. So it was almost like, look over there. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. There was no accountability for him. Like, if he had come forward, like, because I think his apology was almost like a kayfabe. Like, it was like about the racist stuff. So I think he did miss some opportunities to really connect with humanity on like a genuine level. But he was just so busy being freaking Hulk Hogan that he could never allow like Terry Bollea to like come through and be like, hey, this is me. You know?
It's the same thing that I feel you see with somebody like Ric Flair. After a while, they become the character. Yeah. And he very much is that. Like, and that's what he was until the end.
I thought of my last question, and this will do it. I'm happy. When he got booed at that wrestling event, when he was hawking his new beer, right? The Netflix event.
Yeah.
Is that because, and I can't imagine it was because he was supporting Trump at the Republican National Convention, because wrestling fans aren't, you know, that they're like, they're pretty much okay with that. Why, really? Okay. So why? So tell me then, why did he get booed with, there was a palpable disdain that night?
I think it honestly comes down to, it is. I feel that sometimes wrestling in general does have a little bit more liberalism in there that people think, just to say that some of the events I've gone to, and like this was years before he was even president, and when Donald Trump was on the screen at the Hall of Fame event I went to, boos throughout the entire arena. Okay. So like it's always kind of been like that. Okay. At least with like, you know, a lot of that there.
So there's a little bit of like, we don't
there's
like
a little bit.
You like Trump, okay.
But I think that's minimal. What I think the majority of it is like the stories I told you about of how he was with everybody else. These wrestling fans know now. Like, that's the difference, is it's a more learned fan base of where they've heard all these stories. They know how you were to your peers. They don't like you just coming out and shilling stuff and just pretending to be on the same, you know, Hulk Hogan always was, when they know, and you never came out and was like, yeah, you know, I messed up here, and owned any of it. So like what you talked about there, I think that was the majority of it. I think it was them knowing and seeing what Hogan it was for Hogan.
All right, Zach Burke, you're the man. Hulk Hogan taught us to dream, but unfortunately the reality was much, much different.